Hello, everybody. It's Sunday morning for those of us in Europe, and for those in the Asia and Pacific divisions, it's the evening, which means it's time for them to go racing here in the APAC division. Joining me, as always, for this is Seb. Seb, how are you going, my friend?
Very good. How are you yourself, Unicorn?
Not too bad. Very much looking forward to this race around Canada. But before we get into the racing action here at the MRL, we just want to take a quick moment to remember the late, great Murray Walker, an icon for the sport, someone who we sadly lost earlier this week. And, well, Seb, I mean, a lot of us here, a lot of people I don't think would be here in the F1 community without the passion and excitement that he brought to his commentary.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't young enough or born early enough, I should say, to be able to watch his commentaries. But when you go back and watch his old races, he always brought that excitement to the commentary booth, and he always had that extra element to the races that we now have today. He really changed the game.
Yeah, exactly. Just a huge, huge driver for the sport. I think that, everyone, like you said, a few of us here are a little bit too young to remember watching him live, but whenever you look back at those clips, you just hear his voice and you instantly know who it is. You instantly know that you're watching F1, and he just has that magic to his voice. And, just a really tragic loss, 97 years old. What a life he led, but just so sad to see him go. But
Yeah, exactly. It's just not someone you want to see, but he had a great life, you'd think.
yeah, absolutely. And, well, his commentary was for F1, and, well, we're here doing F1 as well. And today, Canada. Seb, thoughts on the track? There's a lot of opportunity here for penalties, that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Before you said, I was going to say that exactly, but yeah, penalties are a big thing. I've talked to a couple of drivers, or several drivers, I should say. Trin, T Mac, Peter, and combined, all have said that they're worried about the chicanes and whether they're going to get penalties from it. I know Peter is feeling relatively confident about the track, but he's worried about the Wall of Champions and how that could go for him. But yeah, penalties, penalties, penalties.
Yeah, well, that Wall of Champions. We've seen a few incidents through there. Also, out of turn two, something that I don't think we'd speak about all too much. Striff and I, going into the week, we didn't really say an awful lot about it, but we've seen a lot of just people just losing the traction now on the exit. And, well, there's a wall there that will welcome a front wing if it gets the opportunity. And it's just something else that these drivers have to be aware of. And we've seen a couple of crashes through that sort of opening sector, that sector 1 through 3, 4, 5. You just got to be careful. Those narrow straights. We're past Monaco, we're past Baku, but at the same time, Canada, it's sort of a false advertisement for opening up for overtaking, because it's just still a very narrow track, but it does have a lot of opportunity. That huge straight down into turn 13, into that Wall of Champions chicane, is an absolutely brilliant place to get a move done.
Yeah, like you said, it's a great place to get a move done. There's this the main reason for this track being hard to overtake it is just the chicanes. There have so many of them. They're high speed. It's hard to go for a late braking move or get yourself in a position where you can really attack someone. But it should be an exciting one.
Yeah, there's a lot of DRS zones as well for somewhere, as tight water as this. You got three. You've got the one obviously down into turn 13. You got the one down into turn 1 and down into turn 8 as well. And that's probably the best chicane. If you can get the good exit out of the second chicane, the 6-7 chicane, you can get it down the inside into turn 8, or even around the outside with a late enough break and get the inside down into turn 9. It really does produce a brilliant fighting. And, well, then, 8, 9, you've got the run down into that turn 10 hairpin, and what a corner that is as well. With that being said, hopefully we should just about be getting ready for these drivers to ready up here for this APAC Division race. We've currently got 15 drivers, so missing a couple, I think, but fingers crossed they get themselves into the lobby sooner rather than later, so that we can get the racing action well and truly underway here.
Yeah, we're just waiting on one driver at the moment. That's an Alpha Tauri of Stars, who's just late to the party. But yeah, like you said, turn 10 can be a bit of a surprise overtaking spot, Unicorn. It does open up a bit. It's a hairpin. It's one of the two hairpins on the track, other than turn 2. But yeah, that can be a very surprising spot for people to overtake, especially if you see some guys get poor runs out of 8 and 9, or there's a bit of squabbling going on there.
Yeah, and turn 10 as well, the thing I find the most interesting about it is the exit and that outside line. It really could provide a brilliant bit of traction, whereas that person on the inside has taken that super tight line. They just never seem to be able to find the exit speed they need so that they could just power down on the outside line and just get that run down through into turn 13 around the outside, and just there you go. Easy as you like, you hold on to the position. So a lot of times you can see that brilliant defense around the outside of turn 10 pay off. So that to me is what makes that such an interesting corner there. But there just is a lot of scope for overtaking. You just have to be in the right position to take it. Like you said, the chicanes around here, they make it difficult to overtake, but at the same time, a good run out of one of them. And, well, that is brilliant news for you going down into the next quarter. That's when the opportunities start to arise. And I think we just got our final driver. So with that, I think we can get underway here. This morning for us and this evening for you.
Could be afternoon somewhere for those people in Middle Eastern areas, or maybe a bit in the east of Asia. But yeah, just a quick driver standings test. Oh, sorry, check, I should say. Got Mikau in the lead on 159 points. Obviously, with that win, just extending that lead over Ben the Bear, who obviously will be wanting to make up some points from his mishaps last race at Baku. And you got Captain of Gold, his fellow teammate, in P3, followed by Remco, who is 5 points behind Captain of Gold in that Red Bull of P4 in the standings. Trin and Panda closely follow Remco, 13 points behind them, and those two are close to each other as well, separated by 2 points in the Alfa Romeo and Williams, with Eccentric in the Ferrari in 7, Peter in the Red Bull in 8, Stars, T-Mac, Shrimp combined, Cello, Emzo, Not So Masum, Yukio, Helium, Matt, and Luckman, the rest of your grid. Meanwhile, in the Constructors, Mercedes still holds that onto that lead, 202 points, followed by AlphaTauri, who are 15 points behind on 187. Red Bull a distant third, followed by Alfa Romeo, Williams, and McLaren and the Pirates, also known as the Reserves, are tied on 45 points for 6th place in the championship. Haas are 1 point behind both of them, with Ferrari in 9th, Renault in 10th, and Racing Point rounding out our grid. And just to note on a driver change, Sandeezy will be replacing Angel at Racing Point. Angel just decided to step down for the time being.
Well, whilst we load into this short qualifying session, a quick shout out to our amazing partners over at Next Level Racing. They've got some amazing sim racing rigs, so whatever your budget is, they've got stuff all the way from the beginner all the way up to the advanced level stuff. So if you need a sim racing rig, or you just want to have a look, be sure to go check out the link in the chat or in the panels down below. They're doing brilliant stuff for the sim racing community, and we'd really appreciate your support. But with that being said, Seb, we've loaded in. What is the weather going to be like? Obviously, always dynamic, always that roll of the dice. We've seen a lot of wet weather around here this week already, and it's been sort of the first. And well, that's very overcast. No raindrops at the moment. But fingers crossed we get a weather report coming through at some point.
Fingers crossed indeed. But yeah, like you said, at turn 2, that when you told me that, that's just a bit odd, isn't it? It is a tough traction zone. You got to turn out at the corner, just unwind the car, and just slowly apply the throttle out of second gear. But at the same time, you know, it's not an overly difficult corner to take normally in the dry, but in the wet it can cause a bit of issues. We have an overcast quali and an overcast race with a chance of light rain about 45 minutes into it. So if we get some safety cars here in the race, we could be in for some more rain action at the end.
Well, we've seen rain really take hold of these races so far this week, like I said, and we'll have to see whether today is different. But the overcast, it's, you know, that threat of rain, and I'm sure everyone at the tail end of this race will be constantly attacking their race engineers, asking whether it's going to rain. But it's Cello first out on the track here in the McLaren, and we'll see how he goes around the track, coming through sector 2 right now, 6 and 7. Onto that DRS straight down towards turn 8. We'll go through the lap in a bit more detail in a moment.
Just a heads up, you are still on screen.
Oh my goodness. Thank you very much. What a brilliant start to the stream. But hey, it's just an outlap. We haven't missed any action. But thank you everyone for that. Put that in chat as well as Seb. But here we are. We haven't missed any action, so we're all good for the time being. Shello then lining up to start his first flying lap of the session. Down into the Wall of Champions chicane for the first time today. Out of there quite nicely. Now DRS enabled down towards the start-finish line, and to start the first flying lap into turn 1 comes the McLaren, taking all the inside curb there. You can see the Williams there just waiting as he comes through turn 2. As you can see, the difficult traction zone that we were talking about into 3 and 4. Then again, all of the curbing that he can and dares to take, because those walls are so looming on the outside. Through 5 nicely into 6 and 7 again. Using all of that curb on the inside of 6 very nicely here by Cello. DRS enabled down now out of turn 7 in the run down into turn 8. Again, a brilliant overtaking spot if you can be late enough on the brakes and are already side by side enough. Out of 9. And again, this sort of slightly left leaning turn into the hairpin of turn 10. Out of there very nicely through the invisible corners of 11 and 12. DRS enabled just before the 12th corner, running down towards 13 and 14, which obviously make up that final chicane. Taking all the speed through here. You want to get as much of the curb through the first corner to line you up for the second. Not using all of the curb on the exit out of 14, but it's a 108.7 to kick us off here today.
Yeah, rather neat lap there by Charlie. Just kept it very fast and nice. Just building up for that last lap. You want Emzo, his teammate's gone and done a lap 5/10 slower than that on the medium tyres. And just a note on Trin, the reason why he is retired right now is because he is serving a quali ban from last race, accumulating too many penalty points.
Starts to the line, a 108.698 puts him on provisional pole. A lot of red track maps right now, so a lot of people struggling with the track limits. Captain of Gold, a 108.2 from the Mercedes driver Mikkel right now. He's going to set his first lap time, and it's a 108.542, so 3/10 off of the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, just time something down. AlphaTauri need to try and do something to this Mercedes crew who've just been on fire in the past month and a bit. Obviously, last race wasn't ideal for them with Ben the Bear retiring and Mikhail grabbing that win and securing some points for the AlphaTauri crew. But you know, they've got to find a way to put a indent into the Mercedes hopes right now. But Mercedes is going strong.
Yeah, Ben, though, he did have that invalidation on his first lap. He still hasn't set a time on those mediums, so really struggling with pushing around this track. We're on board with Helium at the moment in the Williams, and well, here he comes down into turn 10 on his first flyer of the session. And again, nicely done out of there. No issues for the Williams. DRS enabled. As he comes down towards the Wall of Champions chicane, we'll see where this lap can put him. Still a couple of people on those medium tyres. We haven't seen that at all really this week. And into the Wall of Champions he goes. Any damage there is. There's an end plate missing off of that Williams. Still a 109.4, but definitely going to have cost himself time by clipping that wall on the exit of turn 14.
Yeah, he just absolutely clattered that, didn't he? Fully sent it through. Absolutely committed through 13 and 14 into the Wall of Champions. But you need to be committed if you want a very fast lap around here. You've got to use a lot of that curbing. You're going to send that car in there with a lot of confidence.
Ben the Bear, he's finally going to set a lap time for himself. And what a lap time it is. A 108.1 on 3-lap old mediums. That is a very scary time if you are anyone else on this grid.
I think he's sending a message to everyone just to go home, have a seat, don't bother trying. That is ridiculous. He's just, like you said, come out on 3-lap old mediums and he's done a time that's a 10th faster than his teammate. On softs, mind you. Gee.
That is absolutely incredible from the Mercedes driver. We'll have to see if anyone can dethrone him. And that's before he gets onto some softs. If he gets onto some softs, he could start this race on the mediums from pole position. And that would be very interesting. But I imagine someone is going to beat that time in the latter stages of qualifying. Peter, he's got third fastest at 108.4 here. His teammate, not here present, Remco Van Putten, not here for the Canadian Grand Prix, and that, Seb, could really aid AlphaTauri in closing down. Not AlphaTauri. AlphaTauri in not closing them down, but extending what is already a pretty big lead for P2. But obviously they want Mercedes in 1-2. That's not exactly helping their chances. Shrimp now to the line. 6th place at 108.7.
Yeah, it's just like I said, Peter's put himself in a nice position here. Like I said, I was talking to him before. His main thing is just to not get penalties. Like, he's a very fast driver on his day, and he's shown that, hasn't he? But he has that issue where he gets a lot of penalties sometimes. That can just, at the end of the race, when there's a safety car, that can always come to bite him where he doesn't want it to.
Yeah, exactly. And around here, I think just practicing not getting penalties can really aid you in the race. It may not be the fastest lap times in the race. You may not have the best race pace as Cello starts a flyer in the McLaren, but just avoiding those penalties can avoid you dropping 3-4 positions on the line, because we've seen so many people, edge into double digits on the black and white flag on the right of the timing tower. But we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. And safety cars here, very possible. And like you said, it can really play into that finishing role with the penalties. Cello right now, fastest sector 1 according to the timing tower. He found over a 10th through there, and that could see him, if he continues this pace up, fly into at least the top 4. Get ourselves on those front 2 rows as we cross into the final 10 minutes of the session.
He's just unwinding the car out of turn 10 now, just planting the throttle down. He's just got to focus here, think about how he's going to attack this final chicane 13 and 14. How much time is he up on his delta? Looks pretty aggressive through there. Doesn't use all of the curb as last time, and doesn't keep the shortest ones of the line, but it's still a decent time. It's split Peter and Mikhail for P4 here. And he's just off Peter for that third position, about 200s off.
Well, there goes Captain of Gold. He's gearing up and ready to go for his flying lap, or to end out his flying lap, sorry. It's his teammate rounding up there. Ben the Bear coming down the back straight to start his, but Captain of Gold goes fastest, so 108 flat on the soft compounded tyres. But I think it'll be very interesting to see where this man right here ends up after this lap, provided he keeps it valid. He's invalidated a few earlier in the session, but here he goes, Ben the Bear. And, well, his teammate there just pulling off to let one of the AlphaTauris by. I wonder whether there could be a little bit of a slipstream here for Ben. These cars aren't positioned badly for it by any means. The Captain of Gold having just finished his lap time. Through into 6 and 7 comes the Mercedes. There's Shrimp. He's going to get a bit of a slipstream off of the Haas driver here. Shrimp holding that left-hand sideline, and whether that's cost Ben a little bit, well, he's invalidated, and that is not going to help him out.
He's not going to be happy with that either. I think he would have wanted Shrimp to pull over to the right there. It just hasn't allowed him to take an optimal line into turn 8 and 9. Just a note on T-Mac, who you just saw passing Ben the Bear there. He's been through a bit of drama today, and he's had water come through his floor in his house, so he's had to deal with that. I'm not sure how much practice he's got, but yeah. Hope he goes all right tonight.
Well, someone who's not going all right now. Stars is missing a huge portion of his front wing. Mikau, his teammate, they're both on invalid laps as well. Peter's on an invalid lap. Ben the Bear, obviously we saw him invalid. It looks like he's going to go again though, so we'll go back on board with the Mercedes driver and see what he can produce. This time though, there's no hope of a slipstream from his teammate, which I think the Mercedes squad were gearing up to do. You could see Captain of Gold just ahead of him, and out of turn 10 I think Ben would have got a slipstream, even if just very slight, from his teammate. Now taking all of the curving through 3 and then out into 4, and well, he's found 3.5 tenths through sector 1 alone, and this is going to be an absolutely monstrous time if he can get it linked up. And well, we'll have to look and see what he can produce. There's Shrimp on the right hand side this time as Ben comes into 8 and 9, and that's worked out much better for him here as he steams down this long run into the hairpin at turn 10. Hasn't found too much time through sector 2 compared to sector 1, but he's still almost 4 tenths up on his previous best lap time. Now down DRS enable. Let's see what these soft tires can gift him through the Wall of Champions chicane. He will have time for one final run after this as well. Through the chicane he comes, using all of the outside curbing. DRS enabled to the line, and it's a 107.874 for Ben the Bear, 2/10 faster than his teammate, and that puts him about half a second faster than third place in Panda.
Yeah, it's a good lap there. I think he wouldn't be too happy with how he took the last chicane there. Just a bit tentative, but he had a good lap on the board, so you might as well just take the time and onto your lap time and just at least get that very good lap out so you can save yourself for that final run.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt now is coming down towards the final chicane. He's yet to set a lap time in this Alfa Romeo right now, but it looks like now he will. And just getting a little bit sideways coming out of 14, but he's managed to hold on to it. It will have cost him a bit of time, and it's peak 12, a 109.506 for him. But that exit out of the final corner won't have done him any favors onto that lap time. He might have been able to just get sand easy, but not to be. Emzo, he's 3/10 up coming out of sector 1. Let's see what the time is coming across the timing line into the final sector. He's over half a second he's found here, so this could be a very strong time from the McLaren as well. Not a brilliant hairpin, but nothing too bad to write home about, and I'm sure with that half a second found, he will still be finishing this lap out regardless. Down towards the chicane he comes. Let's see, taking all of the inside on the first corner. A very nice chicane from the McLaren. Keeping it to the right-hand side as he comes down towards the line. And there we go, half a second. No time found, if not a little bit of time lost through that final sector. But still, a much-needed improvement for him.
Yeah, a lot of time on the board there. Like you said, out of turn 10, had a poor run. He didn't really use the exit of that corner to its full extent, so that would have cost him a couple of tenths down that backstraight.
Yeah, Cello right now, his teammate, he's found a 10th through sector 2. He had an almost identical sector 1 to his first lap of a 108.459, and he is so close to Peter's time. He's on an outlap in the Red Bull, but we're stick on board with the McLaren. See what he can produce here from this final flying lap. Down into the chicane he comes. And again, no issues through there. A little bit to the left compared to what we've seen the other drivers do to the line, but it's P3, and he found less than a tenth, but it's still just enough to put him ahead of not only Peter, but Panda in the Williams as well. Ben's back out on a outlap. We'll see what he can produce in a few moments, but it's Helium flying again, but he invalidates coming out of turn 9, and that's not what he wants to be doing at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one. That looked really tight, but you got to make sure you're perfect through there and just try to avoid cutting turn 9 as much as possible, because just a little bit over and that's your lap gone and invalidated.
Yeah, and I think he was the only person off fly. Peter, he has started his in the Red Bull, and well, he's already dropped it. Not a good first sector for him. Not quite sure what happened to him, but it is still valid, so it's just something's gone wrong in terms of his line, and he's just not happy with it. So we'll see him preserve the tires presumably and go around again with the limited time left in the session. It is a fairly short lap time here, not the circuit Jules Villeneuve, but through the final chicane for Sandeezy in his debut, or his full-time debut at least, and it's P3 for him, a second found. What a lap time for the Racing Point, a 108.1, a very nice time.
Yeah, that was a bit out of nowhere, wasn't it? Weren't really expecting that from him. But, you know, this is your first race. You really want to leave a statement. You know, I was talking about that with T-Mac earlier in the season. How he made a good statement for his first race. But putting yourself up into a P3 in your first race when no one's really heard of you before. Good start from him.
Well, Ben on a flyer. We'll just hop on board with him as he's up a little bit of time. I think the track record was set in Tier 1 on 107.3 by Paris earlier in the week. We'll see if Ben can beat it. It doesn't look like he's on for it now, but like you said last time, his chicane here at the end of his lap wasn't perfect, and well, that's far from it. He's invalidated through the first corner, and that might mean that this is invalid as well. It does, and that ends Ben the Bear's qualifying run.
Yeah, potentially it does. It's just whether our timing clocks are out of sync. You hope they aren't, because We'd like to have some accurate timing, but he could be on for another one. Just judging from the times these guys have come at it, I think ours are out of sync. So you should be able to get 4 runs here, and this is his 3rd run from memory, but we will see.
Captain of Gold's just had a bit of a moment as well that he invalidated, but he also had a big slide through that chicane at the end of the lap. Shrimp right now, the Haas driver, he's got a huge time improvement as well. I think a few of these drivers, they started their qualifying on the mediums, and now they're really getting the benefit of the softs later in the session. Let's see what he can produce as he comes down into that chicane at the end of the lap. A little bit tentative, but a nice line, and a nice safe line as well to avoid getting those invalidations. And it's P3 for him. That P3 spot has been so heavily contested over the last couple of minutes. It is a 108.1 for the Haas driver to put him into 3rd place. Let's see if anyone else can beat it. Emzo in the McLaren, he's coming down into turns 8 and 9.
Yeah, that P3 spot. Look, if you just look down from P3 to P8, you've got some guys who can really challenge for it. Mikau is that lap is from his first run, I believe. So he hasn't really done anything. Same with Peter. Panda's lap has been for a bit now. But yeah, that we could see times really tumble down here.
Well, Mikau's going to go and qualify on old softs here. There's not a lot he's got left in those tires, and well, as a result, Stars, what's happened to him? He's spun out of turn 2. We were saying that it's a tricky corner earlier on in the session, but there he goes. And Mikau's invalidated into turn 3. It's over for him. The Australian starting no higher than P8 this afternoon. And he will not be happy about that as Ben the Bear sits happily in P1. And this, Seb, really is the first sort of drop in form that we've seen from Mikau. The only one race he didn't finish on the podium. He was P4, now qualifying P8. This is very uncharacteristic for him.
Exactly. He's been staying along consistency. Just finish P2, and when Ben the Bear makes a mistake, as he did last week, just pounce on it. But this isn't looking too good for him at the moment. He's in P8, his teammates in P11. Both nowhere to be seen at the moment in Canada, and they've got some work to do. Work cut out for them at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. His teammate Stars, you can see him again, damage on that car. Not the first time this session, and after that spin out of turn 2. His confidence, I can't imagine, is particularly high coming into it, but it is P11 for him. It's a very good place to be in terms of the strategy. Gives him the opportunity to start on a fresh set of medium compound tires, and that can really benefit you in the race. And strategy around here, we haven't really spoken about it too much, but it is a very, very interesting strategic race. And, well, the 2-stop, one of the only tracks on the calendar where in a 50% race, you get that opportunity to really execute a nice 2-stop. But we'll have to wait and see what everyone opts for. The sun shining a little bit more here in Canada than it was a moment ago, but overcast is the forecast for the race. Ben the Bear sits up on the top spot. Behind him, his teammate, Captain of Gold, Mercedes 1-2. Front row lockout. There we have Shrimp in the Haas in that heavily contested P3 spot, just ahead of Sandesi on his full-time debut drive. Panda in P5. Cello in P6. Peter in 7th place. Mikau, an uncharacteristic 8th place. Helium in 9th. And then Matt rounds out the top 10 here as we load into the 50% race. And, well, that was quite the qualifying session, Seb.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of excitement coming from that little top 10 battle we see. P3 to P8. We got that Shrimp in there, you know. On debut, we see Sandesi in that Racing Point. You know, we're seeing a bit of spanners in the works for these AlphaTauris of Mikau and Stars, who are down the order lower than they'd want to be. And we could see a really interesting race here. We could see a great drive from Mikau as well. He tends to pull this off. He tends to sometimes have these lulled qualifyings and then pull it all together in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a circuit you can overtake around, but at the same time, you just got to wait. Bide your time. When we've seen Mikau, he's been patient before. He's waited. He's executed the moves at the most opportune time. And, well, I think this track should suit his style in that regard. But penalties, it's all about that. Those track limits are not picking up too many warnings to accumulate into 6, 9, 12 seconds of penalties we've seen in some instances. And, well, if you do pick it up, then expanding a gap to the car behind to ensure that you don't lose out. But here we are in, and let's have a look, see what sort of tyres everyone's gone for. As expected, everyone outside the top 10 on the mediums, everyone in the top 10 obviously on the softs that they qualified on. But let's run through that order just one more time. We got Ben and Captain the Gold, the Mercedes squad locking out the front row. Shrimp in P3, Sandeezy in 4th, Panda, Cello, Peter, Mikau, Helium, Matt round out the top 10. Then outside of it, we got Stars in the other AlphaTauri starting 11th, and Emzo in the McLaren. Combined and Eccentric in the Ferraris, 13th and 14th respectively. Then Trin, after serving a qualifying ban, I believe, in 15th, and T-Mac not getting a lap together in 16th place. There's the predicted pit stop strategy by the game. Soft, medium, or soft, medium. And both pretty viable for those on the mediums. Medium, soft, or medium, soft. But the soft, medium, also possible. It's just a bit of a stretch here.
Well, I was going to say we could see some soft hards from outside of the top 10, but no real surprises at the end of the day. You expect to see these guys start on mediums. Maybe if there's a situation that pops up, they could try and do the one stop, but we'll see how this all plays out. It is predominantly a two-stop track, but we can see a bit of variation from time to time.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of drivers just go for that one stop. Most noticeably, at least in my mind, sticks out Alex Biddo earlier this week in Tier 1, where he threw a real spanner in the works and just was... The tyres really die out at the end of those stints, and that's where the problems lie for that strategy, and that's where we saw at least Alex Biddo pick up the penalties as well, because when you're on those dying tyres, the less grip, it's just easier to run over those white lines on the edge of the track. But you can see there, Trin and T-Mac picking up their places on the grid. There's a Ferrari in the middle of the track. That's not where you want it, but there we go. He's got put back in his respective grid spot. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Canada. And away we go then for the APAC Division, the final Canadian Grand Prix for the MRL here this week. Captain of Gold got very close to his teammate, and Sandeezy trying to find a way past, not got it. And Shrimp, he's got Cello all on his inside, coming out of turn 2. The McLaren just backing out, I think, in time to get down into turn 3. Nice and comfortably. We've got Helium. He's putting Peter under a lot of pressure for PA again. No position gained there from him. The timing tower having a bit of a moment, but I think everything just about not too troublesome for anyone. A few positions gained here and there, but mostly, and then most importantly, it's been a pretty clean race start. Mikal, though, up 2 places from where he started, Seb.
Yeah, exactly. Everything clean. We have seen not a lot of changes in positions, a little up and down from some people. Stars has gained a position up into P10 from P11, but very clean. Not what you expect to kind of. You expect to see a bit of instance, especially in turns 1 and 3.
Eccentric, he's had some sort of issue coming out of the hairpin very wide, and then super tight to the inside, not going particularly quickly in the Ferrari, and that's cost him 3 positions here. Mikau now picking up another position. Well, at least it's saying it's Panda into the pit lane. And the Williams, presumably got some sort of damage on that car, and well, here he comes. Stars now. He's picking off a Williams as well, and AlphaTauri gaining a position on those mediums, already taking him to P8 right now, and he's sitting nice and comfortably there, and we'll have to see how he plays into this race, because that strategy could really carry him to a good spot. He just needs to get himself inside DRS range of Peter for when that gets enabled here on lap 3.
Yeah, exactly. That DRS can be very strong, especially when you get in a train. It just pulls you along very nicely. So no, Eccentric may have tapped the wall on the exit of turn 4, which never got a good angle of it, but that's probably why he is in the pits at the moment.
Here goes Mick out the inside of Cello. A little bit of a wheel bang between the two. Can Peter find anything from this move? The Red Bull side by side with the McLaren now as they come through 11. Cello still just ahead of the Red Bull driver. You can see the front wing there just sticking for the outside down into 13. Oh, they're still side by side. And Peter, he picks off the McLaren and backs out. And now Stars. Look at the exit that Stars has got compared to Cello, because Cello was just trying to back out, and now Stars into P7 on those mediums. Really nicely done from him. Trin picks off combined YouTuber for P12, and well, what a race start. Now Trin, he's going to get let by Matt here. I think Matt might have damage on that Alfa Romeo. He does. He's missing the front right end plate.
Yeah, look, what we talked about, that slingshot you can get out of these chicanes, that really paid off. Cello and Peter battling into that final chicane, 13 and 14. Obviously, Cello having to give way. He's got the outside line. Peter can just send it down the inside and have no worries of Cello. And that just allowed Stars to get through as Cello was kind of bogged down through the corner.
There's something interesting to talk about right now. Captain O'Gold still in his teammate's DRS as T-Max looking at the inside down into turn 10 on the wounded Alfa Romeo. And I think this is Matt's sign that he might have to pit here to get off of this front wing damage. He's trying to hold it around the outside and he might just have it. He doesn't. He hasn't got that exit speed. But Ben, Captain O'Gold, DRS for the Mercedes in P2 and they've already pulled out a second to the racing point behind, and Matt is going to come into the pit lane. Cello, he's got back past Stars. Stars has had some kind of issue, no damage, but Helium's got past him as well before turn 1, and the AlphaTauri now back down into P9, and well, he was in P7 a few moments ago, so I wonder what's happened to him, and well, he needs to pick up the pace once more, and I would be surprised if that wasn't a warning for him there, because he took a lot of that curb into turn 3.
Yeah, exactly. You'd suspect he's had an issue out of turn 13 and 14, probably just taking too much curb or lighting up the rear tyres, and that's probably given him a terrible run and allowed Cello and Helium right back through.
Oh, a big snap from Shrimp. He caught it, but that's allowed Mikhail to breeze past the Haas driver. And Mikhail on a real charge here. He knows what he's got to do. And, well, he's doing everything in his power to make sure that he gets a hit. Amazing that Shrimp caught that because it was a huge loss of traction and the car really just snapped back into pointing in the right direction. But here we go, we got Emzo on Stars now, and look at the speed from the McLaren driver coming out of turn 10, well, turn 12 I should say, down into the chicane. There's Stars. He has been penalized for extending those track limits, and he's the second driver to pick up a penalty. Peter already had one in P6.
Yeah, unfortunate for both of them, but you can't see it coming with Stars, especially how he drove through turn 3 and 4 on lap 4. Peter, obviously, I said before, he talked about giving penalties in the race, and within a seventh of the distance, he's already gotten a penalty.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Here goes Mick out again. He is absolutely on fire. That qualifying has really ruffled his feathers, and he's now absolutely blasting through this grid. But the biggest problem he faces now is that Captain O'Gold has been dragged by Ben the Bear. DRS between those Mercedes. He is now 2.7 seconds up the road, and this AlphaTauri really needs to put in a shift if he wants to catch those two silver arrows up ahead. But judging by his pace so far, Seb, he might just have it here.
There's a good chance, but with that DRS of those two silver arrows, it's gonna be a tough ask at the moment.
Yeah, Mikko now, obviously, he's been using DRS to get past his opponents now. That's been pulled out from underneath him, and he just loses that ability to get that little bit of extra straight line speed as and when you need it. And there's still a big train in this grid. There's a couple, actually. You've got 4th through 6th, and then this massive train from 7th down through 13th, with just the two Mercedes running the show up at the front, and Mikhail not really gaining any time this previous lap on the pair of them. And I don't know whether Captain O'Gold just has incredible pace around here, or if Ben is slightly slowing down to give his teammate that DRS to really secure the 2 points here in the constructor, or the 1-2 in the constructors. But we'll have to wait and see.
Pulling away right now. Yeah, they're just pulling away. It's just Mikhail's dropped a 10th to them in the one lap, and Sandeezy is still with him. So this could cause, I wouldn't say massive issues for Mikhail, but Sandeezy being there might just play in the back of his mind a little.
Yeah, I think the thing that's going to break them up. Who is that? Trins into the wall, coming out of the chicane at the end of the lap. Now for a minute, we just saw him clip that inside wall, and there is a huge portion of damage on that front wing, and that right there is gonna cost him big time, because he's got to go a whole lap with a monumental portion of that front wing missing. Yeah,
it's essentially a race killer right there. He's gonna need maybe a safety car or two just to get back in this, especially considering he started on the mediums and his race was all in the long game. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Wall of Champions has, I guess you'd say, claimed its first victim.
Yeah, super unfortunate for him, but now, like you said, safety cars could pull him back into this one, but so far so good for this grid. It's been a very clean race. You've got to give it to these drivers. Now combined YouTuber a little bit deep through the hairpin, but I think that's going to give him the run he needs to just stay ahead of T-Mac for now. But the Haas driver DRS will be in his favor, and this will really pull him towards the rear of that Ferrari. Eccentric picks up what I believe might be his second 3-second time penalty of the race, as his teammate is still feeling the pressure of this Haas driver, and he loses out to Matt there through the hairpin. Here goes T-Mac down the inside for P11, a little bit late on the brakes, and combined is off the track. He's having to wait to rejoin, and well, it's not gone well for the Ferrari, but there was no contact, no damage, and I think that's the best course of action for the pair of them, just to avoid any damage and really slowing those lap times down.
Yeah, combined talking to him before the race, he just said he wanted to keep it clean and just keep out of accidents, and he's mostly done that, but that right there might have just played in his mind a little.
Yeah, Enzo, he's not far away from Helium, and he's now leading the charge on these mediums. Stars has really dropped off after picking up that damage
Look at his wing.
Yeah, he lost that.
Wing.
Actually, when did he lose that? He's really struggling right now, and Enzo now leading the medium charge. He's going to pick off Helium here down into 13, provided he can get enough pace to get him down into the corner. He's going to have to back out here, and this could cost him time. Helium not pitting. We've got Mikhail, we've got Captain the Gold, we've got Sanisi. A lot of these front runners into the pit lane. The medium runner now of Enzo looking for P2, but he's not going to find it into turn 2 or turn 1. And Helium there just holds on to second place for now, but can Enzo find the switchback? He can't. But already a lot of these drivers into the pit lane, and now Healy and Ben the Bear, the only two guys on the starting soft, only 2 of 3 on the soft tires at all right now in this race. Sanisi just got out ahead of Panda there, and Eccentric has called it quits in the pit lane, it would seem.
Yeah, he has just called it quits. He was kind of lagging behind the whole group. 7 of the 16 runners pitted that lap. That would be mostly all soft runners as well.
Enzo now still just behind the Williams. Can he find anything this time out of turn 10? The soft tires really won't be feeling brilliant right now. If anything, at least Enzo's got DRS now for the Williams. There's Ben the Bear into the pit lane, and look at the pace difference between the McLaren and the Williams driver. I would be very surprised if we didn't see Helium just straight line into the pits. We do. So he is going to get onto presumably the medium compound of tyre. So no one right now going for the one stop. Everyone opting for the
watch out for the
two stop.
Mercedes. Look at this pit rejoin. Captain Gold might come out in front of Ben the Bear here. It's going to be very tight.
Well, I wonder whether that was planned, because you've got to know that the undercut's powerful around here. And they're still very, very close to each other, Seb. But now Mikhail still 1.6 seconds behind. He's closed the gap big time, but they've still got DRS on each other, and Mikhail doesn't have DRS. I wonder if we see the AlphaTauri here. It looks like he might be pushing a little bit to try and close down into that 1 second window. He's done it. He's in. If he can hold on to DRS now.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, if he can hold him DRS now, he's got a massive chance. Ben the Bear's dropped off Captain Gold. Those tyres aren't heated up. Just that extra lap of being out on those medium tyres has allowed Mikhail and Captain Gold to really pounce on Ben the Bear, who was just left to the trenches, really.
There we go. We got Captain of Gold. He's picked off combined YouTuber. But all eyes glued here. Mikhail, he's got DRS on Ben the Bear, and this could have been his saving grace. He's nailed the pit strategy. He followed Captain of Gold in. And Ben the Bear, well, he needs to have something of an astonishing few laps. And who is this? We've got a problem through the Wall of Champions chicane. There's Panda. We went on board with the wrong Williams, but Panda, he's lost a lot of that front wing. I don't know who else was involved in that. It might have been Shrimp. So have a look at that front wing on the Haas. Looks like it's all clear at the moment, so a bit unfortunate for him. Meanwhile, Ben the Bear picked off the Ferrari of combined YouTuber, who's now got Mikhail all up his inside into turn 6, but this is costing Mikhail time. Matt He's retired it in the pit lane as well. And Mikhail now outside of the 1 second range. And Ben really needs to just push. The DRS detection zone is just here out of turn 9, so Mikhail might have lost it.
Yeah, exactly. Just Ben the Bear was able to get a great run on combined YouTuber out of turn 14 on down into turn 1, and that just allowed him to dispatch him early and keep Mikhail out of that race. And now it's just between Ben the Bear and Captain of Gold. Who's going to dispatch who? Who's going to get who first? Ben the Bear down the inside. Looks like Captain of Gold's got wing damage on his right hand side as well. Ben the Bear is going to take the lead for now. 13 and 14. And straight through. Nothing Captain of Gold can do. We're just going to see.
Well, that damage is going to cost him big time. Not only him, but Ben the Bear as well, because it's going to bring Mikhail back into the thick of things. Because before we saw the Mercedes, they were really working together as they clear the back marker of T-Mac there in the Haas. But Mikhail, the whole strategy was that they kept DRS training from one another and using that as a slingshot. But now with that damage, Mikhail's going to claw back into the DRS range. He's got it here. I think that might have been on the back marker, to be perfectly honest with you. But either way, it's going to have worked out perfectly for the Australian, because now he is right on the rear of Captain of Gold. He's well and truly in the DRS range, and he's going to be right on his gearbox coming down into turn 1.
Yeah, Captain of Gold's job now with that wing damage is just to hold up Mikhail for as long as possible. Ben the Bear is faster than Mikhail, but being able to hold him off will help, especially if Ben the Bear maybe gets a penalty down the line. But yeah, I'm just surprised as when Captain of Gold got the penalty, because, sorry, not the penalty, the wing damage, because he sat in front. He didn't really need to push all too hard.
Yeah, the big thing now is that Mikhail is behind Captain of Gold, but Captain of Gold, there's still opportunity for teamwork here. Captain of Gold, he may not be able to stay with Ben and run away from Mikhail, but he might be able to hold Mikhail back to allow Ben to run away a little bit more. As we got a yellow flag, it looks like Helium had a problem in the Williams. It's around his section of track, that front wing, looking like it's intact, so not quite sure what's happened there. Combined YouTuber coming out of the pits. Is he going to get beaten out by Stars? They're side by side, but the Ferrari just ahead on exit out of turn 2, and P10 and that final point currently in his grasp.
It's been a rotten night for Stars. He's got wing damage on top of being outside of the points.
Just hasn't gone his way in. Now, Captain of Gold, he's doing a good enough job here to hold Mikhail back a little bit. Ben the Bear sits 2.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Mikhail now. He needs to find a way past this damaged Mercedes quickly and cleanly. Emzo's into the pits, which gifts Ben back P1, Captain of Gold into P2, and Mikhail into P3. You can see the wing damage is hurting his pace here, Seb, but just P2 right now, and he's holding Mikhail off nicely.
Yeah, I think it may be helped by the fact that there's just not a lot of left-handed corners around here. That wing damage on the right-hand side, it just might help him out a bit and not do too much damage to his lap times.
Well, Shrimps picked up a penalty behind them, but these top 3, they're still penalty-free. And, well, we saw a couple of invalid runs from Mikhail, from Ben, and we'll just see how that goes. It's Shandeezy. He's spun round through 8 and 9. There's the Haas driver. Oh, and the Williams of Helium's gone straight into him. Helium just not noticing the car there. Hasn't pulled off to the left. He's lost his entire front wing. Shandeezy is out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our first safety car. And, well, goodness knows Helium needs it.
Well, doesn't he ever? How unfortunate for Emzo as well. He just pitted. And now he's just had to deal with this safety car. Oh, that's come at the worst time for him.
Mikhail's staying out, but the Mercedes are in. And Captain of Gold's going to get hold here because he's behind Ben the Bear. He's going to get a fresh front wing. This is going to be so slow for Captain.
He's going to lose a lot of time here, isn't he? You're right. He will be losing a lot of time. Well, I wonder what Mikhail's thinking here. What's his strategy? He's on the mediums. They shouldn't last till the end of the race, I wouldn't think. But there's I honestly don't know if he could make them last. There's mediums, but this has certainly spiced things up. Add the extra element to our race, and on top of that, apparently we do have rain at the end of the race. So we could have another situation of maybe we get that rain at the end, and that could throw some real dirt in the way of these drivers.
Yeah, Ben and Captain of Gold now going to the end on these mediums, but now they're not 1-2. They've got... Well, Emzo should be able to push to the end as well. His tires are a lap older, but he should be able to go. Shrimp and Peter as well. Those guys pitted in as well, and they now sit between the two. Mercedes Cello, he's in P2 right now behind Mikau on the same strategy. We'll have to see how long it takes before the tires on those two guys up at the top 6 laps old drop off in comparison to the rest of the field. Interestingly enough, there's a few drivers at the bottom here who didn't come into the pit lane. I wonder why Stars didn't pit. I don't wonder why Trin didn't pit. If I were them, I would come in, maybe just waiting an extra lap to give themselves 1 lap fresher mediums to make it even easier to take them to the end of this race, because at that point it'll be about 19 laps that they'll have to do on those tires. I think T-Mac, he's got caught up in the safety car queue, and he might not be able to find a way past here, but he is on fresh softs.
Yeah, it doesn't look like his unfortunate happenings early today has helped him out anyhow with tonight's race. But yeah, I think he's just going to try and finish this race and just see how he goes, have a bit of fun with it.
Well, this, like you said, really has turned everything on its head, and Ben the Bear, fresh mediums. I'd like to see how they help him, but they really hurt his teammate because he got held in that pit lane for even longer than he needed to. And I wonder where he would be if Ben didn't come into the pit lane. And well, we'll never know, but it's a tough call for Captain of Gold. He's now in P7 from P2.
Yeah, and unfortunate for Captain of Gold as well. He's just, on top of that, he had wing damage, so that would have added even more time onto his pit stop. Just coming in from T-Mac at the moment. Apparently he's been put a lap down by the game, and he could be P2, but apparently, but that's, I don't think that's where he would be, but he did say he's been put a lap down by the game, but safety car is coming in this lap.
I don't know how he's been put down a lap now. Obviously he's caught in that safety car queue as a back marker, and he's going to have to let everyone pass here pretty much under blue flags. But Mikau, he's going to be restarting this race in P1. He really needs a good start. He's gone already a little bit earlier than what we're used to seeing here around Australia. Has he caught Ben and Cello out? He has caught Cello out, but Ben not being caught off guard. And he is very tight to the rear of this McLaren. And we'll see what the fresher tires can do compared to the 7 laps old of the McLaren, who's doing a little bit of a weave, trying to get a little bit more temperature in those tires as they come down towards turn 1. And well, this grid already spacing out a little bit based upon when Mikau did put that throttle down. And here goes Ben. What a run out of turn 2 he's got on the McLaren down into turn 3, and already he sits behind Mikau. He needs to claw back a few tenths to get within DRS range, but my goodness, he's got a few laps to do it before it gets re-enabled for everyone. And well, he's picked off Cello as quickly as possible, and that is exactly what he needed to do.
Exactly what he needed to do indeed. He's already taken 2, 3, 4 tenths out of Mikau in the space of half a lap. He's really clawing at him. Those fresh mediums looking like they're coming to life right now. Mikau on those 6 lap older mediums. See if he has to stretch those out, or will he pit again? I'm thinking he definitely will go to the end on those. There's no reason why he wouldn't pit under the safety car other than that.
Shrimp, Emzo, Peter, they're all in a nice little battle here coming down to the chicane. Shrimp, Emzo, they're side by side into the chicane. There's a little bit of contact. The Haas into the wall of champions, nose deep, and a reset to track. That's caused a big issue. The Williams of Panna into the wall. The Ferrari of combined YouTuber. He was cost there. Panna just waiting patiently. He's going to get himself turned around now. But that one is going to be looked heavily at by stewards after this race. And well, that has really gone poorly for the Haas driver.
Yeah, that isn't great. That's going to get a fair slap for Shrimp right there. He just ruined Red Panda's race to send him into the wall, as you said, and even ruined Combines.
Well, what was a very, very clean race at the start of this, the safety car restart has sort of shuffled that up, rolled all the drivers back into a very tightly packed grid, and most of them have been running a little bit, in a little bit of clean air. But Yeah, really not perfect from those guys there, but here we are. We've still got plenty of races to go. We're about halfway through this race now, just over halfway through, and Ben the Bear has really closed down the gap to Mikhail, and I think these fresh mediums are, you know, really helping him do so. You can see now the pace difference coming down into turn one. I don't know if he's going to be able to get it. He's not. He's just making Mikhail very, very aware that he is very present and looking ready to take that P1 away from the Australian.
Exactly. It's a smart thing from him. Just be patient. There's no need to really force it. He looks the quicker driver at the moment, so no point in just trying to get wing damage or anything from going for a move that could be done later on in the lap.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, I think he's just sort of teasing Mikhail here, because Mikhail might be regretting the fact that he didn't pit under that safety car now, and Ben is just sort of sat here on the fresh mediums, just knowing full well that Mikhail knows the situation, he knows the situation, and while they may not be talking to each other, they're definitely communicating on track here. Mikhail is going to be so furious that this is not... He's had such a great race so far, and he's still pretty much able to pick up P2 here, I think, with the race. But here goes Ben, DRS, and just streams past the AvaTauri. There's still every opportunity that things go well. What's happened to Peter? There's an airplane flying off of that Red Bull straight into the pits for him. But I'm not quite sure what happened there. And Mikhail, he's picked up his first penalty.
Yeah, that's what I was reacting to. He just got that penalty cut at the inside of turn 13. That's giving him that penalty. That is going to bite into him later in that race. You see Emzo and Captain of Gold, those two have been... some other people have been very quick throughout this race, and they could really come into play later on.
Well, Captain of Gold, you just mentioned him there. Someone we need to talk about quickly, because P5 right now, right on the rear of Emzo. Both of these guys on the fairly fresh mediums. Cello and Mikhail, if they have to pit again, we could see Emzo and Captain on the podium here. It could be a Mercedes 1-2 after all, because here goes Captain of Gold around the outside, down into turn 8. And what a move from him to pick off Emzo here. And that's important. That is big for the race, because if he can close down half a second to Cello, the tyre difference should allow him to do so. He's in really good stead for a podium here, Seb.
Oh yeah, he needed to get that move done. What a nice move it was as well. Just swooped around the outside of turn 8. A little bit later braking than Emzo. Just had that confidence that Emzo would give him the respect and took what was his, you could say.
Yeah, and now Captain, well, look at the pace he's got compared to Cello. He's caught all that half a second. I thought it would take him a little bit longer than half a lap, but it hasn't. And he's really hunting that McLaren right now for P3. And with Mikhail's 3-second time penalty, the tyre difference between Captain and Mikhail, and the fact that they're already only 3.4 seconds apart, Mikhail's got a big worry in the fact that he hasn't got DRS. Captain's going to slingshot off of Cello here. And, well, Mikhail needs to watch his mirrors, because he's got a Mercedes coming right back into them if he's not careful.
Yeah, well, Captain of Gold's got 2 warnings to his name. If you check the race director, I don't know if those are both track extending warnings or a warning with contact with another driver. I don't think it would be contact with another driver. He's been relatively clean today, apart from that wing damage. But yeah, he's making some work. I believe during the race earlier on, he was about a tenth slower than Ben the Bear without DRS, maybe 2 tenths. So he's showing some very good pace here as he just swoops by Cello down this back straight into turn 13 and 14 onto the main straight. But he's got a bit of work cut out for him, as long as he can keep it clean.
Well, speaking of people not keeping it clean, Ben has just picked up his first penalty. Right now, he does sit 2.4 seconds ahead of Mikhail, who's got no, a penalty of his own. But Captain of Gold now, a late safety car could see him thrust into P1, because like you said, he's been showing brilliant pace, and he kept up with his teammate earlier on so nicely. And now, sitting in P3, he just needs to bide his time, and he needs to keep himself from getting that final warning if it is the case that he's got 2 already for extending those track limits. But such a nice race for him right now. A really nice recovery drive as well after that safety car. But there he goes.
There's that penalty.
3 seconds, and well, he's still on for a good finish. You can't let them get him down. We've been saying how brilliant it'd be if he didn't get it, but despite the fact that he's got it, he's still got an opportunity here to make it a Mercedes 1-2.
Exactly. He is taking a bit of time out of Mikau in the past, but that's just slightly dropped off in the down this back straight through 12 and on the run to 13. Maybe that just could be a ERS management thing.
Two McLarens right now. They're very tight together, and we'll have to see whether Panda's out. Panda's crashed in sector 1.
So I wonder if he's just gone into the wall on the outside of turn 4. We're about to find out. With
He's right in the middle of the track.
Yeah, right in the middle. Gee, that is... Oh, Captain Gold's missed him, same as Mikau. That is right in the middle of the track. You'd think they get cleared soon, and it looks like it has been.
Well, I don't know how that wasn't some sort of full course caution, but well, here we are still racing under green flags, and well, that's done great things. Captain of Gold. Ben Mikau really broke heavily, swerved to the left. I wonder whether Ben told Captain, no, be careful, this car's in the middle of the track. You can just hold it to the right-hand side. And that's really allowed Captain here to gain a little bit of time to the Australian ahead, I think, because look at the time difference between the AlphaTauri and the Mercedes. Now, it was 1.3, but Captain of Gold slowing down again.
Yeah, I feel like Mikau's just got some good straight line speed on him at the moment, but if you just look into the sky, Unicorn, you'll see that there are clouds forming, and they've formed over the top of this Canadian circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had one safety car so far. Surprisingly, we haven't had another. So, I wonder whether we will see that rain play into this race at the end. We've seen it all throughout the week. A lot of wet weather has been forming, and it is getting a lot darker here. But the rain, even if we saw it, I don't know if it would be heavy enough to cause any real impact on this race, but maybe just make it a little bit slippery. Maybe a late penalty for someone who really could do without it, or, you know, tap into the wall, a loss of an end plate, something of that nature. You never know.
Raindrops. Raindrops.
Is it already raining?
Yeah, raindrops. It's raining on my screen.
Oh, it is. 11 laps from the end of this race. That's plenty of time to make this interesting.
Well, we've been asking for this for a bit now, ever since we got a teaser at the Netherlands, at Zandvoort. We could be getting this wet finish to the race. It might have gone a bit earlier than we wanted, though. But yeah, this is, like you said, spanners in the works. This is this could really add an extra dimension to this race.
This is either going to be Mikau's saving grace, or this is going to completely end his hopes here of getting P2, because if it rains heavily enough, it's going to mean that everyone has to go to intermediate tyres, and it means that Mikau's not going to lose out if he has to get off of those mediums. If he can't get that free pit stop compared to Ben and Captain of Gold, the problem there lies that he's on these older tyres. They're going to have less grip anyway as the track gets slipperier and slipperier, and 16-lap-old mediums are going to be 26 laps old if he takes them to the end, which I can't imagine he is. This is a difficult decision for Mikau. Does he come in for softs? Because I imagine that's what he was going to do. Now, does he come in for intermediates?
Oh, it's a tough decision, isn't it? He's going to have a decent think about it all the while driving and trying to hold off Captain of Gold, who, mind you, has just taken 3/10 out of him in the space of 2 corners.
Yeah, Emso picked off his teammate Cello, not making it difficult for his fellow McLaren driver there. Captain of Gold now, like you said, he's right on the rear of Mikau. And, well, let's see what is going to sort of go on here, because Mikau only 4/10 ahead of the Mercedes. DRS still enabled. The rain not heavy enough to have the race control disable that. And well, you can see there, Mikau's still getting a nice drive out of turn 7 compared to the Mercedes. And I wonder whether, you know, there's just a setup difference there between Mikau and Captain of Gold. Mikau, he's just, despite the tyre wear, still got a lot of pace compared to the Mercedes right now. And he didn't have it earlier on in the race, so I wonder whether, you know, the tyres here not really playing into Mikau's favour, but something is.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, Mikau, Mikau is a user of the pad, and Captain of Gold does use the wheel, so there's a bit of a difference there. because that's helping with traction for Mikhail. I can't answer. I think it would, but look at that run. Captain of Gold gets through turn 13 and 14. Looking down the inside of turn 1. How's this going to go? Who's going to blink first? Looks like it's Mikhail. Captain of Gold trying to give him the respect on the outside. Mikhail's not going to go for the switchback here. And Captain of Gold got that position. Through turn 2, out of there, and that's goodbye for you.
8 laps to go. Captain of Gold has picked off Mikhail. Peter's picked up his first penalty. T-Max into the pit lane for intermediate tyres. I think it's too early. I don't think this track is wet enough right now, and those are going to overheat like crazy. But we'll have to see. Maybe. He just had to take a risk, I think. I think he just had to get in, try something else if he's got the pace, which I don't think he will. It's going to cost him. Here goes the Williams of Helium. He's got some nice pace over the last couple of laps to close in on these McLarens, and he's all over the gearbox of Cello at the moment. Can he find a way past down into turn 10? It seems unlikely.
Yeah, he's been quietly decent, hasn't he? There's drivers who will have those races, and he's having one of them right now. He's got a great launch out of turn 10. DRS is still enabled. Cello's got the DRS from his teammate, able just to stick in that DRS detection from turn 9 to turn 10. Helium having a look down the inside here. Don't tell me he's going to go for it. Oh, yes, he is. What a move, Unicorn. Put that to music.
That was so clean, so concise. Just absolutely nail it now, though. Cello, he's not done with the Williams. He's going to have a look down into turn 1 himself, but he's not going to find it. Helium on a real charge. And, well, for someone who had a point in this race where he had no front wing whatsoever, you wouldn't be able to tell now. P5, no penalties. A late safety car here could really spice things up for the Williams. And, well, we could see him on the podium if he plays his cards right.
Oh yeah, what a move that was indeed. It just sent it. Full confidence that the car would pull up, especially with these, slightly changing conditions with the rain coming down and the track being that slightly bit more slippy than it would be in the dry. But yeah, like you said, came back from having no front wing due to no fault of his own from memory. That incident with Sandeezy, and yeah, he's pulled it back.
Let's see how everything pans out for him. I think Cello's tyres now, they've dropped off the cliff. They are well and truly done for. You can see now Trin closing in a little bit, but he's on the similar level tyres. Mikhail as well. They're staying out now, and with only 6 laps to go, I think they're going to go to the end. And, well, how long until one of them pops? Because Stars, 21 laps. That seems just so tough to take to the end. And, well, he's not going to take them to the end. He's in.
Yeah, it looks like he might try and give the Inters a go. See if he can help his teammate out here. See if Inters is the right call. Oh, gee, we want this rain to come down, don't we, Unicorn? We want a bit of spice in our life at the moment. Combine's had a spin.
Yeah, not pointing in the right direction. Doing a nice little donut for the fans. They're sitting outside of turn 2 and lets Peter by. Well, Peter, he's on 15-lap-old mediums. Combine's on 14-lap-old sauce. These tyres, has he still got them all? Or is that what's caused the spin there? Because they're all still on his car right now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one of them burst.
They look all fine at the moment, visually, but who knows? He has dropped a fair bit off of Peter at the moment. Well, I think those tyres have truly gone over the cliff.
Freeway pointing out in the chat that these cars, you can see on the rear of them now, a lot of flashing red lights, the rain lights enabled, and well, that signals the conditions are only getting worse at the moment. There's only 5 laps left, though. And well, if you're in this race, it's a close crossover point, but it's such a difficult time of the race. We saw it in Zandvoort come so late that it didn't make a difference. Now it might make a difference, because 5 laps left. If this rain persists, gets heavier, whatnot, it could really just impact it. You've got Cello here sliding, really struggling on these old mediums, and Mikhail, I imagine he's in a similar boat. He's dropped almost 2 seconds to Captain of Gold now. And the Mercedes squad will be so happy they pitted, despite the double stack. Everyone now hopping onto intermediates in the lower rungs of this grid. 7th all the way down to 12th, all on the intermediate tyres. The top 6 still on the mediums. Is Mikhail going to risk coming into the pit lane here? Only 5 laps to go. It's still a tough call. I think DRS might still be enabled. We haven't got anyone to test it on, though, I don't think. Maybe Trin, if he gets it out of turn 7.
Yeah, just I might have a look at the sector times if I can. As Ben the Bear's called it. What if Ben the Bear's pitting? It looks like he would be. Those are the inters. Yeah, Ben the Bear's
They're all in. They're all in. All three of them. Captain of Gold, he's going to get stacked here. Have the Mercedes squad got him ready? Not quite. Has he got the time to get out in front of Mikhail? This is going to be very close. He got held for a little bit. He got held because of Mikhail as well. Where is the AlphaTauri? Where is the Mercedes? He's just got out ahead of the AlphaTauri. Mikhail now right behind Captain of Gold. And the tyre differential has been completely removed from this race. DRS is disabled. Mikhail now, Captain of Gold. It is just a pure test of raw wet weather pace. They have got nothing to aid them. ERS well and truly in Mikhail's favor. 7/10 the gap and 4 laps to go. This just got very, very interesting for P2 in this race.
Sure, it's certainly turned it up, hasn't it? Finally, that wet weather scenario we get at the end of the race. We got teased with it at Netherlands and Monaco, like I said before. It's about to get even more exciting.
Mikhail burning a bit more on the battery. You can see it there. It's helping him out. He's taken a couple of tenths out of captain already, and well, it's only going to get worse for the Mercedes driver. And well, the pair of them, they need to be sure that neither one picks up a penalty, because that is almost race over for them in terms of who's going to be P2. They've got plenty of time to Emzo behind, but we'll have to see what the McLaren can do. These intermediate tyres now all across the grid, so late in the race. But what a call it was. Ben the Bear 11 seconds ahead. You can't imagine him losing it now, but that doesn't mean to say that it's impossible for either Captain or Mikhail to be P1 at the end of this.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. You'd think Ben the Bear would just try to keep it clean for the rest of the race. No warnings, no wheel spin, just keep the car under control and get it home.
Yeah, all eyes just laser focused here. Peter, he was getting close to the rear combine. I wonder if he's had a problem there through the World Champions chicane. He's just lost a little bit of time and picked up a penalty to boot. But again, the headline here is just Mikhail versus Captain of Gold. Who is going to come out on P2? Who is going to come out on P3? It should be those two positions for them, unless they have a monumental issue together. And well, I cannot wait to see what these guys say after this race. Presumably we get an interview with the pair of them, but what a race it's been, up and down for the pair of them. And now, with just a few laps remaining in this one, it's to the line and nothing else for them. Mikhail, 50% battery, is using a lot of it, and Captain of Gold now really being brought back into the equation on that front. He's got some nice pace right now in that Mercedes. He's been showing it all day, and the wet weather hasn't really changed it. So I want to know.
He's just holding it at the moment.
Yeah, he's just wet weather, dry
it doesn't
weather.
look like he's dropped off the back. Yeah, it's been very consistent, hasn't he? Technically he's been keeping up with Ben the Bear in the wet, although that sounds dumb considering he's 11 seconds off him. But if you look at the sector splits, he hasn't dropped off that much. Although it's saying that now he's dropped off 2/10 in the space of a sector. So.
Well, a brief look at the penalties. It's all 3 seconds for the top three, but Stars, Trin, and Peter all with 15 seconds. We said it could get to double digits, and indeed it has. Combined YouTuber set to take a nice little bit of an advantage from that. 9th to 7th it should be for him. And then Peter, he's going to drop. Actually, no, he won't, because Shrimp is so far behind, and with 9 seconds of penalties, it's not going to matter at all for him. But the front three all on 3 seconds. And now, Captain of Gold, Mikhail. If either one of them picked up a penalty, as we said it earlier, it would be pretty much game over for them. But as it stands, it's still just a race. They both are equal on penalties, so it's just track position that will decide who gets that P2 and who gets that P3.
Mikhail's just he's trying to get there. He looks like he's pushing a bit, but it just doesn't look like he's got any speed advantage on Captain of Gold.
Yeah, he's pushed, and now the battery charge has actually swung in favor of Captain of Gold. There's Shrimp trying to get things turned around, and he's crashed into Ben the Bear. Ben's had a huge issue here. Ben's got a massive portion of his front wing missing now. We'll hop aboard with him in a minute. There he is, getting turned around. Shrimp today, the stewards are not going to be happy with him. But Ben the Bear is not missing an end plate. He is missing an end plate and then some. There is half of that left-hand side of the front wing going. He's got 1.5 laps to go. He did have 11 seconds. He's already lost 1.5 of them to his teammate behind. It's going to be close. He can't afford to pit, obviously, but that's so unfortunate. But my goodness, Shrimp, he needs to be very careful with how he drives. And look at Ben. He's just really struggling right now.
Yeah, my jaw's on the floor. I can't believe it. I don't think he'll get overtaken or caught up to by Captain of Gold or Mikhail, but oh my goodness, I was not expecting that.
Here goes Peter on the inside of combined. Juju into turn 10. The Ferrari a little bit deep. We've still got racing actually going. Shrimp 5 seconds speeding in the pit lane as he retires on the penultimate lap. But like you said, this is reminiscent of Lewis Hamilton getting that puncture in Silverstone and Max Verstappen chasing him down 4 seconds already. Like you said, I don't think he's going to get caught here, but it could be close as the gap is really tumbling between the teammates right now. Mick out, he's pushing as well. Ben needs to be careful as well that this wing damage doesn't cost him a time penalty, you know, just wide somewhere. But we'll have to wait and see. 5.7 seconds now in the gap. It's really closing in. Stars a 3-second time penalty. It's an AlphaTauri that right now it shouldn't cost him too much because of the penalties elsewhere, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. 5.3 seconds. I think Ben has still just about got this. He just needs to make sure he gets through champions scot-free. And then it's home and dry for him. Or not dry. It's been the opposite of dry here this afternoon. There he goes. He's made it through champions. And Ben the Bear, well, he was so good throughout this entire race. A little bit of an issue at the end there for no fault of his own. He picks up P1. His teammate picks up P2. And Mikhail in P3. A Mercedes 1-2. And they'll be very happy about that one on a bad afternoon for AlphaTauri. Enzo P4.
Yeah.
And Helium running
Good
on the top
finish.
5.
It was a good finish for the Mercedes crew. That was a big scare. Just imagine the scenes if Ben the Bear were to not finish the race. But thankfully, he's able to only lose the front wing from that incident.
Well, what a race. The rain really playing into that one. Ben the Bear seems a little bit shocked himself. We'll get his thoughts hopefully in just a moment in the interview, so don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. But wow, that was drama from start to finish. That might be my favorite APAC race this season. It's up there for sure. That was truly something from this grid. And well, there we are, Helium P5, but the 1-2 for Mercedes, they held on to it. And what a recovery drive from Captain of Gold. We saw him pit get stacked with the wing change as well, down into 7th, and he still came home P2. What a race. There's Ben the Bear, though, P1 yet again for him, recovering from Baku. And P1, P2 for Mercedes. Mikhail is not far behind, though, P3. And I'm sure they'll be happy with that one. Obviously, could have been P2 for him, but we'll see how it goes. From the qualifying he had, it's not too bad for the Australian driver. Interviews in just a moment, and then of course we will raid a member of the F1 racing community. But it's Ben the Bear in P1 ahead of his teammate Captain of Gold. Mikhail in P3. Emzo from 12th on the grid to 4th place. Helium in 5th from 9th. Then Cello in the other McLaren in 6th. A nice race from that squad over there. Ferrari have combined YouTuber in 7th after penalties promoted him, I do believe, ahead of Trin in 8th. Stars dropped to P9, and PTR rounds out the top 10 and picks up that final points for the Red Bull squad, only scoring 1 point here. And Remco Van Putten not here, of course. T-Mac, he finishes in 11th, and I think he was the last other finishers because Shrimp retired in the pit lane, still qualified with just 3 laps behind, but he's P12. Then Panda, Sand Easy on his debut full-time drive, Matt Eccentric, all failing to finish the race. But what a race it was. Like I said, driver interviews in just a moment. But Seb, what are your thoughts after that one? What a race.
Yeah, very entertaining indeed. We saw some a good start to the race, relatively clean, a good end in that rain. We finally, like I said earlier, we finally got that rain that was teasing us at Zandvoort and Monaco. But gee, we nearly had that scare at the end with Ben the Bear, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm sure he is just, you know, relieved that it didn't cost him that race win. But we'll have to just wait and see. Fingers crossed he is available for an interview. It's always brilliant to get the drivers after this race. He is, all three of them are. And we will kick off interviews, of course, with third place. And today, third place goes to none other than Mikau. Mikau, what an interesting up and down race for you. Just talk us through how that one went for you.
Well, I didn't make it any easier for myself from bottling qualifying. But I was able to get a good start and had a lot of issues with the guys around me. Like there was a lot of jostling for position on that opening lap, but was able to just sort of stay composed, stay calm, and pick them off one at a time. There was a lot of confusion with the tires and the weather, and that set of mediums I was on until the rain was very very worn. But yeah, no, it was a good race from outside of the garage. Unfortunate with the penalty. Just some lazy driving in the middle of the race. Um, but yeah, no, we got the change to the intermediates pretty spot on. Just the two Mercedes were just faster than us today, unfortunately. But we'll still take the third place.
Yeah, well, my first question was going to be, P8 on the grid, but that opening sector, that first sort of quarter of the race, you were absolutely flying through the grid. You're saying one by one, but it was just so rapid that your rise through the order. Just how was that? Did you obviously you knew that you had to get them all at the start, but just what were your thoughts in those opening few moments or those opening few laps?
No one please hit my wing. That was about it, to be honest. No, those race starts in the midfield are so intense, and you just sort of have to be in a zen mode, not really think anything, and just drive, find the lines, find the gaps, and that's what I was able to do, and make up some positions fairly early while everyone else seemed to struggle a little bit. So it was definitely important for our race. And yeah, quite happy to get the opening that I did.
Yeah, then of course that safety car. You chose not to pit. Both Mercedes did, and obviously Captain Gold had that wing change as well. Got double stacked in the pits. Cost him a lot of time. Were you hopeful at that moment that there could have been, the sort of change around point for you? Obviously, he dropped all the way down to 7th place. Did you think that you were able to, sort of take profit from that, or is that ultimately what cost you? You think? Do you regret not pitting?
No, I think we made the right call to stay out, especially with the information that we had. I'd been told by the pit wall that the rain was coming in 10 minutes when that safety car was called out. So, and my medias were like 10% worn, so it would have been fairly easy to make it to the rain period. Unfortunately, the rain took a little bit longer than we expected, and Cap did a very very good job getting through the traffic. So props him with that. But I don't think we really made any critical errors on the pit wall. It was just the two Mercedes were faster than us today, like I said before.
Well, an awesome race for you. Again, P3, another podium, more points on the board. How are you looking forward to France?
Definitely a lot better than Canada. Now past probably my two weakest tracks on the calendar, those being Monaco and Canada. So hopefully we'll be back to that runner-up spot, or maybe even a win here or there when we head to Europe.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mika. Again, another brilliant podium from you, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again in the commentary box sooner rather than later.
Thanks, Unicorn. Take it easy.
All right, next up, of course, P2 goes to this man right here, Captain Agolda. What a drive it was from you. A very up and down race. Second to 7th to second again. How was that one for you? And we just need to get you unmuted there. There we go.
What was it like for me? I mean, I broke my wing when pretty much me and Ben were doing the teamwork job, pretty much building a gap to everyone else to get away. and then I would have been pretty disappointed, to be honest. But we got the safety car, and that saved us, I reckon. So I got the crucial pass done on Mick, and then wasn't easily sailing by any means. I mean, Mick wasn't going to give up the fight, but yeah, it was hard to keep him behind.
Well, qualifying went next to perfect from you there, and like you said, the pit window, you dropped to 7th. At that point, when you're in 7th place, obviously you got double stack with Ben and the wing change as well. You're in 7th place. You've got to go through the grid, but you've just seen Mikhail basically do exactly the same thing from 8th on the grid. What were your thoughts on that safety car restart? What was your approach? Obviously, you were team working with Ben beforehand. Now that was sort of lost. It was all down to you. How did you, go through that grid?
Well, I believe it was PTR and Enzo in front of me, and I figured, I was at the back of the DRS train, so I pretty much had to wait until they did something, and they obviously had their coming together at the Wall of Champions, so I capitalised on that, and then we had Biddo, shout out Biddo, cheers mate. We had Biddo telling us that the other McLaren ahead, Cello I think it was on 12 lap old hards when me and Ben had pitted, so I figured, all right, it's time to shine. So got past them, thankfully. And then it was on to Mick, who was obviously, he stayed out on the restart to keep track position. Then, again, as I said, we got him crucially, and then that set us up for the 1-2.
Yeah, well, a 1-2. We saw a lot of teamwork coming out of, you guys today. And, well, it shows in the constructors' standings. You're still P1 after that one, especially with the 1-2. And obviously, that constructors really, shaping up really nicely for you. But for yourself, P2 here, do you think you can close down the gap, or do you think P3 is where you're going to be for the most of the season? Can you challenge for that top spot?
I mean, it's still early days, so, it's a bit hard to tell. We are kind of, obviously we're all into business now, but, I guess it's never say never. So, again, with the constructors, it goes to show that me and Ben have a pretty good relationship. We go well together. So if we keep that up, anything's possible, I reckon.
Well, again, another brilliant race for you and as an individual, but also as a team. So brilliant job today, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you again in a little bit.
Awesome. Cheers, mate. Take it easy.
All right, and as per usual, Seb, I'll let you do the honors of interviewing race winner, and once again for the 6th time I think this season, it's Ben the Bear. Ben, congratulations. Seb, over to you.
Ben the Bear, just before we go any further, I just want to ask how your heart rate is with that massive scare on the second to last lap.
Maybe a heart attack coming in a minute. still beating quite fast. No, it was a shock. It was a really big shock, though. I didn't really expect anything, from what happened with Shrimp. I think he tried. He thought I would have gone into the outside, but I took the inside line, which made a concertina effect, which caused my wing to break. But it was very, very shocking, very heart racing as well. It was very tight.
Yeah, well, we saw early on in the race with the first set of pit stops. You got caught out by the undercuts of your teammate, Captain and Goal. Just walk us through that. Was that a planned thing? or was that just a spontaneous thing of him pitting out of just to try and get some track position?
So we both agreed. I think we both agreed that he should have pitted before I did, just in case Mikhail gets that sweet undercut on one of us. So I took the bet, which then I stayed out to see if it can be between Mick or in front of Cap. But I ended up between both of them, and then I think 2 laps into the stint, I think Captain got some damage, so he let me pass, and he did his job well, holding up Mick as well, just to give us that buffer for him as well.
Yeah. Well, final question. Just you had that safety car restart and your P3. We had Mikhail in front of you. P1, your teammate wasn't really there to be seen with that wing damage from the first pit stop, and he had also to get held up from you. Just was that ever in doubt for you that you could take the win from Mikhail?
Mick is a really consistent driver. I knew that I had that slight pace advantage compared to him throughout the whole race. It was seen through like lap times, I think, constantly. So I thought if I made a quick move on Cello, I think I could really stick to the rear wing of Mikau, because if I was gonna stay behind Cello for a period of time, I think I would have probably had to really push harder, which probably would have caused me to get more warnings. But I had to do that quickly.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the win, and especially after what happened last week. And yeah, good luck to you in France.
Good.
Well, that just about wraps everything up here for us and F1 action around Canada for the week. Obviously, France next week. But Seb, any last thoughts on that APAC race? What a race around Canada that was.
Yeah, it was quite a stunner, wasn't it? Also some good racing. Saw a lovely, brilliant move from Helium into the Wall of Champion chicane. But yeah, keen for France. You can see a lot of great racing there.
Yeah, it really opens everything up a little bit less constricting for the drivers and a lot more overtaking opportunity with a lot less imposing walls around there. But that's all from us here for now. Obviously, F2 tonight for those of us in Europe, 8 p.m. GMT, 9 p.m. Central Europe time, or for those in America, if anyone's up early, it's 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. But that's all from us now. If you want to see the highlights for all of the races, they'll be up on the YouTube channel early next week. So make sure you're over there, as well as the full race replay. Make sure as well that you're over in the Discord as well to make sure you know when we go live, as well as just getting involved in all of the great things the community does, from races to just talking about F1. And a big shout out as well to our partners, Next Level Racing. So they've got some awesome sim racing rigs over on their website, so check them out in the link and the panels down below. But that's it from us. We're going to go ahead and raid someone from the F1 community, as always, after our brilliant outro. So thank you all very much for watching, all the follows, etc. But from all of us here, we'll see you next time.